Yes, we are live on a Friday.
I mean, live on a Saturday too, aren't we?
I believe so. Might be a little bit before 4, Mace. We'll talk about it. We'll chop it up. We'll chat about it.
Yeah, we're figuring that out right now.
The Broncos are figuring things out. Am I right, fellas? Yeah.
Well, it was interesting. It was a Notepad Friday, just like yesterday was a Notepad Thursday.
You're right.
But didn't mean it wasn't notable, because for the first time in training camp, we saw some 2-minute today.
We've got a lot to get to on today's program. It is Orange and Blue today. Cecil, Lammey, Andrew Mason talking about your Denver Broncos and why there's a lot of teaching today and a lot of learning going on from Bo Nix and company.
Teaching and learning. I wasn't expecting you to begin with that, so I don't really have much of a response to it.
Well, we saw it. We saw a lot of stoppage today,
Yeah.
like multiple stoppages. And it was the day after Sean Payton got the quote that I'm going to get wrong because he got it wrong and everybody gets it wrong in that about how most time is wasted, but experts know what to eliminate. Something like that.
That's not it.
The gist of what he said. Well, he got it wrong. You get it right. If it's wrong, then here on this show. Either way, it was just funny that a day after he says, you got to know when to not waste time, he's out there teaching a lot. And we've got the quote, Mace. He talks about how we really, and how much he stops in that quote and how much he thinks about what he wants to say in that quote. I think it's very telling a day after he's like, nah, you don't worry about some stuff. And today they're worrying about some stuff.
Yeah. There were 3 times the offense and defense got to the line of scrimmage, got set, and then he said, hold, please.
Stop,
collaborate, and listen.
I knew you would go there. I knew you would go there.
Gosh.
Yeah, but after
I'm
a while,
so
it was
old. I'm so old.
This is intentional. This is something they're doing on purpose. And this is something Coach did, kind of say, like, yeah, we really wanted to hammer home some points today. Point taken, Coach. We saw it.
Well, let's play the quote where he talks about that.
Just really wanted to harp on all the details today. We even as a staff just met with him, and I said, I'm not going to use the word, but I want to be on there about everything. Today was that like stone in the shoe day coaching, and it's part of the discipline of playing, and for to find the right 53, it's not just physically the talent, it's the mental toughness, the fortitude, all those other things. Can you be challenged? Can you be coached hard? How do you react? That was part of today.
You had to think about it
a lot.
I think he wanted to say, get on their, rear end.
Get on their ass.
Yeah. Oh, you said it. Okay, fine.
Yeah, I'll say it. Get on their ass. YouTube's not going to demonetize us for that.
Well, okay. You never know where the line is, right? I mean.
Oh, I know where the line is. I'm a habitual line stepper.
Yeah. Okay. I mean, is that one of the 7 dirty words that George Carlin used to say, or no?
I don't think so.
I don't think so. Yeah. Okay.
No, theirs are much dirtier.
Yeah. He wanted. Yeah. But it was interesting how he took his time trying to kind of explain what he was going for. I wonder if, like, in New Orleans, he just wasn't asked about things in practice like this. Like, today, it's like a fusillade of stuff about the 2-minute and the process there. And he's getting asked about bringing things to a halt 3 times in practice. I wonder if this just didn't come up down in New Orleans. Like,
it's different media wherever you go. I think we're pretty gentle compared to like New York or something, but we also like want to know.
Yeah.
What's part of what goes into the process.
Yeah. I want to know. I'm curious, not judgmental, right?
Curious mind is the best mind.
Yeah. I am curious when I'm watching practice, like, okay, I was curious as to why three times as everyone was aligned and set, came to a halt. And by the way, it was, if I'm not mistaken, it was with the first team every time. It was 1 versus 1 every time.
So, yes.
When he brought it to a halt.
Yep.
And it doesn't mean it was necessarily offense. There was one time where Joe Vitt was getting on guys. So Joe Vitt works on the defensive side. So it's not just an offense Bo Nix thing, right? It's the whole team. I wonder if also with the Saturday practice effectively being a scrimmage type of practice, that today was the day that he really wanted to kind of hammer home some things before what will probably be a more revelatory practice than we see, especially since you have that, and then you take the Sunday, and then you have your first game prep week heading into Indianapolis. And at that point, maybe things start to begin to crystallize a little bit, I think.
Yeah, it was an interesting day to be sure. I do like how Jason, our pot stoner degenerate, calls you Johnny Cash Mace. I like that look. The man in black.
Man in black.
Yeah, Johnny Cash Mace.
Black.
Let's do it.
It's a good color on me.
Okay.
I'll admit that. I orange is not a good color on me. I'm sorry to say.
But orange and blue today looks
blue
good
is
you. That's for sure.
Nate Albert says it's Friday. I'm still in love with something.
Well, with life, with the Broncos, with this show, hopefully. Smash the like button on YouTube to help us out. But I look at this as kind of almost how he treated the quarterbacks in the pre-draft process, Mace. I'm going to give you a lot. I'm going to see what you remember. Tomorrow's the see what you remember day and the quote-unquote scrimmage. That's
probably a very good way of putting it, especially if you have the scrimmage. Now you can maybe do a 2-minute type of period. The 2-minute period today, it was very specifically end of the first half, not end of game. So that meant that even though the scoreboard was 6-0 against the offense, end of the first half means you're not necessarily trying to get to the end zone. And so it changed how the end of the drive progressed, right? It changed the goal, because not realizing that before he mentioned it, I was like, oh, why are they calling it off at this point? Well, you're calling it off because you're basically going to the field goal attempt, and that's it. Some coaches, by the way, with the Broncos would play out the field goal attempt as part of the drive. We didn't see that with Sean Payton today.
Yeah, we didn't see that with Payton, and we saw, kind of rougher day, interrupted day. It wasn't smooth during practice.
No.
So I'm not going to say today was the worst day because of the teaching and what Coach Payton said in that elongated answer of like, yeah, we were taking our time to make sure these guys got the details of it. And it is those little details that'll help out in game situations. Something he even talked about last year in training camp, where he's just looking for weird situations to coach guys up. And remember, hey, always be thinking out there.
Yeah. I wonder how the day would have been perceived, especially at the quarterback position, if that in the 2-minute period, Bo Nix looked for Courtland Sutton. It was completed, but it was out of bounds. I wonder how the perception and the feel for the day would have been if that had been inbounds and Courtland Sutton would have come down with a touchdown catch.
I bet it would have been much better.
It would have been It would have been a 31-yarder.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
He caught it. I mean, this was the part of practice we weren't watching from up top, so we were down at field level from the other side. And I mean, outstretched. Everything about it was beautiful, but where Sutton happened to be, which was out of bounds.
Right. He put it where the defender wasn't going to get it, but he also put it where it was a little bit out of bounds.
Yeah, like it's a pretty tight window, and if the defender, does a good enough job, as was the case there, it's a non-existent window. And then after a couple more plays, called it with what would have been a 38-yard field goal attempt. So still a successful series, although there were penalties. There were penalties on both sides, and that was something.
Hey,
easy. the heck happened there? God.
Yeah, you're talking about Sean Payton, talking about those penalties. Get you all excited,
weird
Mace.
little twitch there. Yeah. That's what Sean Payton talked about after practice.
We had 3 penalties in the first wave. We're off the field defensively, but we have a neutral zone infraction, which all of a sudden not only does it extend it, it stops the clock too. And so that's a 3-point penalty essentially. And then, but then we're in field goal range. We get an offensive foul that takes us out of field. So a lot of stuff for us to coach on relative to that situation.
Relative to, he got it in there, and
Yes.
he made sure to note, and that's essentially a 3-point penalty. So Sean Payton a little happier at the podium than I thought he would be, Mace.
I'll tell you, it was interesting though, because that penalty, as I'm looking back on it here, you got I thought the defensive penalty was on 1st and 10. I had so.
Well, perhaps Sean Payton is an unreliable narrator.
I got third and 3. Bo Nix hitting Greg Dulcich on an out for 10 yards. And then I've got a Nix scramble, pass to Samaje up the middle for 5. And then I've got the penalty when they have 1st and 10 at the defense is 47 and it moves them to 42. And then I've got the other penalty as well. I got the penalty, it takes them back. I don't know what it was. It was a 10-yard penalty. It forced the offense into 1st and 20. But still, I'm not saying this is what you want. My bad. Okay. You know what? I think he was right here. Yeah, because they had 2nd and 15 at the 34, and then there's a defensive penalty, and you get first, and that's 1st and 10 after that. So yeah,
3-point penalty.
3-point. Although the thing is, I would say from where they were, because they were at the 34-yard line, it was already a 52-yard field. It was a 52-yard field goal, so it was already in very makeable Will Lutz range, and very makeable for almost every kicker in the league. So I'm not sure it was a 3-point penalty, but you don't want any penalty. I mean, I think his point stands. His general point stands. You don't want any penalty in that situation.
Yeah. Wade Skywalker asks us thoughts on Bo testing PS2. And that Surtain play, again, it was out of bounds, but the defender wasn't going to get there. And it was PS2, by the way, who was waving. You saw the refs, Mace. I saw PS2 waving it. That's out of bounds. That's out of bounds.
Yeah, and Court didn't even challenge it. So I think Court knew he was out of bounds, too.
Those guys know. You
can
tell by their reaction.
Pros know.
Mm-hmm.
And pros, especially a pro who's been around 7 years. They know. Court knows. He gets it. But it's not just that. It's testing Patrick Surtain all over the field. It's also, you had that play earlier in the day. You had the little crossing route, and PS2's trailing, and Bo Nix finds it's Josh Reynolds, I believe, and off to the races. We have said it on this show before. Bo's throwing to the open man. And his processor's really quick. And if he sees that the open man happens to be covered by Pat Surtain, who cares? If the player's open and you can get to him quick, and this is the thing, we see it across the middle with a lot of zip. Like that, the pass that he threw to Reynolds when Surtain was trailing, that's,
right on time, right on
it's
target.
On time, it leads the receiver. That's the kind of throw for which you drafted Bo Nix. On time, in stride, across the middle of the field. The thing that you need in this offensive scheme that simply was not there last year, was completely missing.
No, because Russell Wilson can't be on time.
And also, Russell Wilson wasn't working the middle of the field. It was working outside. It was edge of the seam to outside the numbers. Now you are going to work the seams, and you're really going to work it between the hash marks.
I liked when Bo Nix was changing plays. Now, when I watch film, the first thing I look for is the safeties, because safeties are going to tell you everything. So the very
And
first
quarterbacks know this, which is why the whole thing
That's
with
why
PJ Locke earlier this
he
week.
toys with the safeties.
Yeah.
He studies the safeties. This is very accurate. So you always look first in my notes of charting plays of every game in the NFL. It's middle field closed, middle field open. So I have a little X or I have a little O. It's hugs and kisses, hugs and kisses. But Bo Nix saw a play where it was middle field open. So your two high safeties, middle field open.
Mm-hmm.
And the defense changed. And he goes, kill, kill, kill. Because they changed to middle field close. He flipped to a play to Jaleel McLaughlin. And I believe it was a toss play. I don't think it was a handoff. Mace, correct him if I'm wrong. Yeah. And so this McLaughlin play gashes him. It was the perfect call, the perfect change. It wasn't a great day for Bo, but I love the fact, and there's another play where he changed the play. So he kills the play, kill, 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 switches to the toss or whatever handoff to Jaleel. Right side, Jaleel gashes him, 20, 25 yards, whatever the number is. And I love seeing that sort of identification because it's pre-snaps reads. It's pre-snap motions, and Peyton Manning and or Tom Brady would tell you most quarterbacks know what to do before the ball's even snapped.
Well, the thing is, I mentioned the Josh Reynolds play. That was the play after the Jaleel play to which you're referring, and that too involved the change at the line of scrimmage.
Yep.
He's ahead of the game here. In this respect, Bo is as advertised. What were his strengths? Processor, seeing things pre-snap, making adjustments. That he was ahead of other quarterbacks. It's why when we talked about him compared with Drake May and JJ McCarthy, we said that May and McCarthy were going to need longer runways to play compared with Bo Nix because they didn't have this element to their game to where they were going to be ready to go right away. And we're getting every indication in New England and Minnesota. We may not see Drake May for a while. We may not see JJ McCarthy for a while. Might be a lot of Jacoby Brissett in New England and Sam Darnold. And Sam Darnold in Minnesota is really interesting because even though it's his first year there, it's his second year really diving into that offense. And every indication is he's running it like a pro.
Yeah. So we'll see what goes on there, but Bo changing plays, learning, and then let's get into the running on 7-on-7 thing, because there were some collective moans in the media tent. There was a collective moan for me when the conversation turned to low vibrational crap, but there was a collective moan from all of us when Bo Nix took off to run in 7-on-7.
Yeah.
So I said, because I thought the other day Ryan Edwards' question was about 7-on-7 when Bo ran in 7-on-7 again. And so I talked to Ryan. I said, hey, I think he misunderstood your question. Ryan said, no, I was asking about the scramble in team, because there was a run in 7-on-7 and then there was a run in team. So coach never really answered. He said, I want my guys to make good decisions. That's what he was talking about, rushing in team. And Ryan didn't ask about the 7-on-7. So I said, guess who's going to get a 7-on-7 question today? I go down, I see the great Jeff Legwold, and Legwold is one of the best, if not the best. And so I asked Jeff, I said, hey, Jeff, I got a professional question, because there was, this giggle from the media of like, Cecil's going to ask a question that'll piss off Sean Payton. And I'm like, no, I just want to know, should we grade that the way, like, I crush Zach Wilson if he runs in 7-on-7? Should I crush Bo Nix when he does the same? So I asked Legwold. And I said, coach, how do you grade a guy? And Legwold said, no. Tell him or ask him, generally speaking, what do you think of quarterbacks running? And then ask him the grade question. So I'm getting ready. We see that coach is in a good mood. Leggy asks it. And he asked it great. And I thought it was fantastic because we got insight from it, from coach. Mike Shanahan hated quarterbacks that ran.
Hated. I've heard Mike talk about this. And honestly,
with a passion.
I will admit some of my view on 7-on-7 scrambling comes from Mike Shanahan.
Yes.
And then Gary Kubiak following.
Yes.
Both of them hated it.
We did not like it.
Yes.
Did you just go in living color on me? Hated it. Yeah.
Not
hated
quite.
it.
I was trying not to say it in exactly the same way, although it did go through my mind.
It did, yes. But now we've got information from Sean. So I thought it was a great insight into what Sean thinks when Bo Nix or even Zach Wilson, who more sauntered, when they run in 7-on-7.
Listen, I'm good with it. I want them to practice every rep just like it was a game. And so instinctually, I don't want to force a throw. Now, we get to the start of the season, and we have a scout team, and let's say we're in 7-on-7. You know, we might tell the quarterback, hey, get rid of it here. But I want them to treat it just like it was a game rep. And so, hey, we flush, it's scramble drill. We keep, receivers turn and find your block. And that happens a lot. So it's actually something we had a meeting on. So we have a scramble drill meeting and then a period. Then we have a red zone scramble drill and a meeting. And there's so many plays like that in our game now. So in 7-on-7, we would treat it the same way.
I like that answer, Mace.
No, I think it's fair. I mean, again, I'm kind of fighting what what I've learned about 7-on-7 over the years, but if he's okay with it, that's fine.
Do you think he's really okay with it? Because I'll tell you off air who I was talking to, but it's like everybody hates it, but they're not going to tell you they hate it.
Well,
although I did like Coach's answer.
I'm just kind of, what I've learned over the years from people smarter than I on this is that 7-on-7 is designed to force you to make a decision. Mm-hmm. And to make a decision that, okay, you may not have a great choice, but what choice is sometimes it's, okay, everybody's covered. What's the least bad choice? Okay. You don't have anything that's 100%. Are you able to kind of go through and say, okay, well, here's one where maybe you got a 50-50 shot. Right. So,
mm-hmm. And it's not that Bo runs right away. I think, and I'm not making excuses for him, and we can talk about Zach Wilson when he sauntered in 7-on-7 and essentially just stopped running. Mm-hmm. But like Bo exhausts all options. He extended the play and then he took off to run. So would I personally like to see him maybe try to make a throw? And if it's out of bounds or whatever, that's fine. But again, Mace, it's not about what I think. It's not about what you think. It's not even about what Mike Shanahan used to think. It's about what Sean Payton thinks of this.
That's where it stands right now. Mm-hmm. He's the coach. He's the boss. If he's okay with it, that's fine. What I would say is that I would like it, and it's, Bo Nix has generally shown a very quick processor going through his progressions. I would like to. This is an area where I'd like to see it quicker. It's I think Nix. There have been times we've seen him get to that check down really quickly in 7-on-7, and there have been times when he hasn't, like in this period, like in this moment, or the check down option is covered. So what might be the better choice then? I mean, it's. I get what he's doing, and I get that in a game you're going to take off, but I think part of the point of 7-on-7 being you want to kind of you want to force a decision there. It's not necessarily in keeping with the spirit of the drill, even though if you were in team and in that situation and he took off, you'd actually be pretty happy. Although you wouldn't want him taking that long before he got to the run either. That's another thing. When it takes 8 seconds to get to the run, that's not optimal.
Mm-hmm. And we've seen design runs for Bo Nix. There was even one today that they blew up immediately, but Bo stopped. So he started running. You see it's a design run because he tucks immediately. He stops. He looks like he's going to throw, and then he tucks again. The play's over. But I was telling the gentleman with us in the media tent, I was like, next step on that play is have someone sneak out. So it's a design run. Bo looks like he's going to run. Then he stops and he throws. These are the layers you can have with Bo Nix.
And that's where you start confusing the linebackers a little bit. It was interesting. You and I talked with Cody Barton after practice, and I asked Cody about what stress Bo Nix puts on him from the linebacker spot, and he talked about the scrambling. And that's really telling, because what you're talking about there is having to have one eye on Bo and one eye on the man that you're covering. And if Nix, like, you take that run threat seriously, but if he runs and then you abandon, all of a sudden you're giving up a big play. It's kind of maybe even a little lollipop toss over the linebacker.
I like that.
Yeah,
lollipop toss.
Yeah.
Uncle Charlie asked, any batted down today? Mace, I think the scrimmage will tell us a little bit more, but it's something we're watching, especially with Stidham.
Today was clean. No passes bad down the line of scrimmage today. That was an area of improvement for the offense.
Yeah. So I think tomorrow the scrimmage, that's going to give us some insight there. Mike with some good. Can't thank you guys enough for always getting us upfront, honest feedback, even when people call us Wilson haters. I was like, huh? I'm just going to tell you what it is.
Hey, someone called me a Bo hater last week. I mean, geez.
Oh God. There we go. Todd asked if I'm having a margarita. No, I'm drinking out of a mason jar. So, Mace, do you have any mason jars? It even says mason right here on the end.
I don't. Strangely
you should,
enough.
What? Mason has no mason jars? You should have mason jars.
But they're not good to drink out of.
Why is that?
The little ridges on top.
Ruffles have ridges, and they're great.
I don't like Ruffles. I mean, this is a cup, so it's just
that's got ridges.
Yeah, but not the same fit. Not the same kind of ridges, though. Like, I'm just.
You mean the threads up here?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So you can screw the lid on. Like, I don't like that.
Mace doesn't like threads.
I mean, I've had some drinks out of mason jars. I've had some cold pops out of mason jars.
Right.
But is it my first choice? No. But I get why some places do it. It's part of the kind of the elan of the place. Like, I was at this one restaurant in Houston last December, and everything was in a mason jar. It was kind of, their thing. It was like Southern cuisine. And I get that. I dig.
I got it. All right. Any other thoughts from today's practice? I really think tomorrow, and we'll tell everyone via Twitter, probably, Mace, when we're going to go live tomorrow. We're not going to do the late night brain dump, although hopefully my internet's figured out. Hopefully my house doesn't burn down. We're in pre-evacuation now because the wind started the fire up again.
Oh God.
Yeah. So they're still going on. But anyway, so I don't think we'll do Saturday night. But we are going to do Saturday after practice sometime. Just get everybody up to speed with what's going on. I think it's going to be a really interesting day tomorrow.
I think it will as well. Final thoughts on today's practice that we haven't gotten to. I thought, even though you didn't have full pads, so it's not completely illuminating, but I thought we saw some really good things on the ground today. Did not see Audric Estime. He was given a rest day. They gave some rest days to players who are coming off various injuries. So you had Justin Strnad get a rest day, Zach Allen get a rest day. Audric Estime got a rest day from his work because, of course, he had surgery back during OTAs. Nick Bonitto still dealing with a back issue. I think there's starting to be a little bit of concern there about Bonito's bulky back. A little bit of a alliteration.
Nice alliteration. You know what I say to that, Mace? If there is a concern, I don't want to see him till regular season. You don't mess with a back injury. Not at all. You do not mess with a back injury. If it's any sort of concern, see you in week 1, Nick.
Yeah.
He'll be ready.
Exactly. He'll
be ready.
Take your time. He'll be there. He knows what he's doing. I mean, you'd like to get improved at setting the edge, working against the run, but it's more important to have him out there at least for pass rush. And and what this maybe means is if Nick Bonitto does not get up to speed during training camp because of the back issue, then in your mind, maybe, okay, we just kind of go. If you're sitting there, your Broncos coaches, you're like, okay, we just go back to the plan of last year. He's sub-package rotational. Cooper and Browning are your starters, and you're fine with that.
Yep. And part of the thing, we don't, not that we have a bunch of time to get into Jonah Ellis, but when we do talk about Jonah Ellis, we'll talk about his struggles. The kid is struggling. Although coach had some nice things to say, it's just kind of generic, like, hey, he's fine or whatever.
He's starting to flash a little bit the last 3 days. There have been some moments, not as consistently as Thomas Incoom is. I mean,
yes,
Thomas Incoom is good for one very disruptive pressure of practice.
I will say
day in,
this
day out.
about Jonah Ellis, though. I have faith in his development, not only because of his college tape, but Nick Benito. We have evidence of Nick Benito did not look good his first year.
No,
he did not look good at all in training camp and the first times we laid eyes on him with the Broncos. And Nick Benito's turned into a player. So, with Jonah, skim time, we're seeing some growth.
Yeah. It's almost like players get better. This is the thing. Like, nobody stands still. Either you're progressing or you're regressing. Rarely are you staying in place. So the question is, for this team, how many guys are going to progress enough to where you're talking about this team surprising people? Can enough players progress? Because I think, given the young nature of this team, we're going to see far more players make progress than regress. It won't be, half the guys go one way, half the other. It's not, it doesn't work that way. It's not a zero-sum thing. The question is, will enough be able to do that in time? But I think we're going to have completely different views on plenty of players at the end of the season than we did at the start.
Sure.
They're going to be eyes opened and perspectives changed.
I like that. Cody asked how we're not super burnt. Well, we stand under a tent, and I cover up. Like, I wear long sleeves. Yeah. Even Cody Barton's like, aren't you hot? And I'm like, no, because these are super light material, but I just I cover up. I wear slacks. I don't wear shorts. I know some people slather on the SPF million, but
I slather on the 50. I'm very, very big on sunscreen because I don't mind being I enjoy being out on a summer day, right? But
need that vitamin D, baby.
You got to protect yourself. Like, I've got fair skin, so yeah, I sit there every morning and I've got the 50. It's all over. Even get like the top of my head, even though I've got a hat. Even get it on the lips and everything. No, you try not to miss a spot, because believe me, if I miss a spot, I know it. I'll feel it, and it's awful. Sometimes, like, there was one day about a month and a half ago, I didn't quite get a spot where my shirt came down, like the open collar, and it was like, just, it couldn't have been that big, but like I realized it about 45 minutes after I was out. So I'm like, oh God, I'm feeling this.
Yeah, not good.
Yeah.
All right.
I enjoy being outside watching practice. Like, it's a rite of summer for me. It's fun. It's like the start of school, like the start of a very long journey that you hope is a 6.5 month journey all the way to New Orleans and the Super Bowl. But we'll see.
Oh yeah, we will always see about that. We'll see you on YouTube tomorrow. Do we have an announcement, Mace, or you want to talk off air, and then we'll figure it out?
We'll figure out the time. It'll just be sometime in the It'll be sometime in the afternoon. I don't know that it'll be a much different time than normal. Maybe a little earlier. Probably is going to depend above all on how fast I write and how fast I cut video. So, or like very specifically, if there's any video, like there's clip, like that we need to cut. Like, I will admit, like for purposes of our, we're just going to take you behind the curtain a little bit. We are trying to get ourselves a nice Saturday night and Sunday to kind of clear the head a little bit, and work on other things that are part of the job that aren't necessarily about covering practice.
Like, right.
I've got a couple of things that I need to do. For example,
couple of assignments. Yeah.
Couple of work housekeeping things that I need to do on Sunday. So it won't be an off day, but it's, It is the business we have chosen.
That is very correct. By the way, we have 10 video clips we haven't used. I'm looking at the dashboard right now. So if you don't need to clip anything tomorrow, which I think we probably will, but like we've got plenty from the week to get to or get back to. So we'll have you covered. Just follow us on all the socials and we'll figure that out. We'll let you guys know, but it'll be probably around the same time. And
if you want
give you a half hour, give you an hour, whatever.
Yeah. We'll go until we're out.
Almost done today, Mace, but how can people help us out on YouTube?
Like,
comment,
share,
subscribe,
hit that notification bell
so that you
never
miss
vid.
Perfect. He's Andrew Mason. Follow him on all the socials at Mace Denver. I'm at Cecil Lammey saying OBT's a BFD. Thanks for watching. Stay tuned. Stay frosty.